The water that carries me. Before I was a mother, before I became an engineer, before institutions gave me a title, I was a girl raised by the land, raised by silence, shaped by water. I didn't call it engineering. I called it watching. I called it listening. I called it survival. Water knew me first. It was my first teacher, my first mirror. Before I understood pressure, before I felt the current, before I understood systems, I observed their flow. Before I learned balance sheets, I studied tree rings. Nature told me, what grows wide grows well. What struggles leaves its mark. I grew up where you could hear the land breathe. No textbooks, just moss, memory, and movement. No diagrams, just the arc of a branch bent by the wind. No mentors, except the land, the water, and those who move quietly through both, and still I learned. But the world I stepped into wasn't built for me, not for my silence, not for my bloodline, not for my child, while I mapped blueprints in my mind. Single mother, Indigenous, biracial, female, every statistic told me you don't belong, but I belong to the river. And the river does not ask permission to flow. In town, the curves turned into corners. Soft landscapes became sterile grids. Water once free was pumped through pipes, its will enclosed. I walked those halls, lecture rooms that buzzed with theory but no ceremony, boardrooms with plans that didn't know the land they'd reshape. Still, I didn't fold myself small to fit. I flowed through. I sat quietly in spaces that never saw me coming until my presence rewrote the blueprint. I didn't lead by asking. I led by showing, pipe by pipe, site by site, challenge by challenge. When something failed, I didn't blame. I fixed. When something was missing, I became it. I stood in the trench with steel toes and prayer. I became an operator, mentor, mother, and waterkeeper all at once. Water became my medicine. When I grieved, it held me. When I burned out, it cooled me. When I doubted, it reminded me. Nothing grows without pressure. Nothing flows without resistance. In engineering, they measure the flow by pressure and volume. But back home, we measure it in grace and perseverance. In showing up, especially when unseen. In moving forward, especially when told to stop. I remember the moments I wanted to quit, the silence after doors closed, the weight of raising a child while navigating systems designed to exclude us both. But I didn't stop because I knew my story wasn't just about surviving, it was about returning to my source, returning to the knowledge already etched in my DNA. I didn't learn solutions, I learned to find a way. I didn't collect credentials, I collected stories, failures, and lessons, all of which shaped my ability to lead with presence. And presence, not position, is the power that lasts. Today, I stand in rooms that once felt impossible, not to prove myself, but to open the door wider for the next one who feels like she doesn't belong. to tell her you do. You always did. Because your way of knowing, your way of seeing, it is what the world forgot it needed. Education, experience, environment, empowerment. That's my design sequence. I've stood with engineers on job sites. I've built trust, not by shouting, but by showing up over and over, grease on my hands, fire in my spirit. And when I lay the tools to rest, someday, I will become a watcher of water, a memory in motion, a quiet force that helped reshape a system to include us. They call it resilience. I call it remembering. They called it success. I call it return. I am not here to fight the current. I am the current, flowing with clarity, guided by land, carrying our futures. When they ask where I learned to lead, tell them, I was taught by the river, and I never forgot how to listen.
You have traveled the land, the path of life. It was difficult. I give you great thanks. Those who come after will have an easier path. Salkten atmichs ratchuchwach. T'inadastam kokschacham. Saltnigas klap das Ulacht das ist.